Hello everyone, welcome to Infinite Realms. Today we've got, you know it, you love it. It's probably one of the most popular books in that long box is Spider-Man Unlimited. And I was a little hesitant to even include this one in here. Because it's like, God, I know I have a copy somewhere else. And it's like, yeah, it's like, this is a funny point with me and Spider-Man. Because I was getting this is when I was really getting burnout. The burnout began, I'll say. It didn't really hit till after the Clone Saga. But this was the start of it, I think. This was the storyline. I didn't hate the storyline, but I thought it could have been handled in about half the time it was given. And I'll tell you the truth, when I was reading it, I was really out of it. I mean, it was just like, by the end of it, I was just like, end already. Dear God. But, you know, of course, we have Carnage being wielded. Yeah, this is smart. Right, guys? You know, because there's no chance the alien symbiote is going to burst free and kill everyone. Yeah. Never. Ron Lim did our here. I do like how they, again, I do like how they handled these panels. That's nice. I mean, that's comic books right there, buddy. I mean, and then we get to, Harry's funeral, which we know that's a load. MJ looks kind of tired. And Carnage is ripping up stuff. Yay! More Carnage. And then Shriek arrives. And I had forgotten about Shriek being in this completely. Isn't this her first appearance? This might be a reprint. I don't even know. But, yeah, she's in here. And then MJ at a funeral. Boo-hoo. I, didn't hate this, but I mean, this part did drag. I mean, I know it's necessary, and then, you have Carnage and Shriek wreaking havoc, and Carnage flashing back, talking about how Venom and Spider-Man hated him, and then Doppelganger shows up. Again, it's been a long time since I read this. I forgot Doppelganger was in this. Alright, so we go on. Pete's just ignoring everything. Apparently people are dying all across the city and he doesn't notice until, oh, wait, now he notices. About time. Spider-Man fights Doppelganger. God, it's hard to turn in front of the camera here. And you remember these? I mean, these are just like Marvel Cards Series 4. I was out by Series 2. But yeah, I mean, you used to be able to just send a check or a money order and get you stuff. Valiant. Yeah, those were the days. that was fun. Alright, so, yeah, keep going with the fight between Doppelganger and Spidey, and oh, that looks bad. And of course, you see, it feels like there's a lot more ads here, and I never did understand this. I remember this being a thing. It was like MJ started smoking for some reason. Why? It never amounted to anything at all. It was just like, she's like, oh God, I'm worried about Pete, I'll smoke. And more fighting with Doppelganger. I mean, this is a good fight. I like this fight. I mean, it's pretty decent. Good artwork here. I mean, this is a classic Spider-Man kind of tussle. You gotta enjoy it. And for some reason, out of the blue, Carnage shows up at J. Jonah Jameson's. I'm back. Okay, so that's the main Maximum Carnage story. This one always... I don't know, I don't understand this story because it's like Spidey has Uncle Ben's alive, and then everything's bad, and then he convinces himself to let Uncle Ben die, and he comes back as Spider-Man, and Yeah. I don't know. This one I thought was kind of weak. Let's flip back and see. Mike Barr and James Bingham, artist. I thought this one was weak because it doesn't, and if you tie this into One More Day, that makes it even worse because it's like, Pete's already let Uncle Ben die again. But then he, again, it drills on forever. Okay, and I'll be honest, I read this part and I didn't get all the way through it because I just got bored. And anyway, all of a sudden, Uncle Ben eats the bullet, and, suddenly Peter turns into Spider-Man. He's fighting the Scorpion in the middle of a fight with the Scorpion. It's like, okay. Yeah, and I didn't even want to try to look for the magical explanation on this. And then we're moving on after, and Spider-Man is woke up by his wife in Grandma's nightgown. Figure that out. I don't understand that either. Anyway, he wants wheat cakes. Why wheat cakes? I'm lost. Okay, that was the end of the story. Then there's this another backstory with Cardiac, who I thought was always going to be a lot bigger villain, or a lot bigger character than he ended up being. He kept showing up, and then just kind of faded away. It's like, I seemed like he was, people liked him, but then all of a sudden he just quit showing up. It's like everybody forgot about him. It's a really short story. There's not much to it. It's just Cardiac beating up a couple of guys and then zipping off. And that's it. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, like I said, this is where I'm hitting Spider-Man burnout. We had 5 titles at this point. Then they come out with Spider-Man Unlimited. I'm like, why? And then we had Maximum Carnage, which I think was 10 parts, and it was like, oh boy, that was pain. And a lot of people love Maximum Carnage, and I'm always like, man, have you ever read the whole thing? It's just like, it's a slog. It's a long story that doesn't need to be that long. It should be about maybe half the size, I think, would handle that story. And I know a lot of people love Maximum Carnage the game, and that's a big deal to them, so I don't know if maybe that's it. I played that game a couple of times. It was okay. Wasn't great. I mean, at the time, it was the best Spider-Man in the world, but, it didn't age well. But yeah, this is where my burnout began, and, again, Carnage was a good villain, but he's a one-trick pony. And once he does that trick, there's not much else you can do with him. He's not going anywhere. And I don't feel like he ever got too much further than this. I think this was his... And I think if this has been his culmination in his final story, I think I would have a different view on Carnage at this point. The fact is he kept showing up, and then there were a million symbiotes, and then it just got to be really dull. And so, that's the other thing. This is sort of the gateway to that. I mean, this is where it begins, is all that stuff starts happening from off of this storyline. And, yeah, it doesn't happen in this storyline, but after this storyline it begins. And that did kind of put a fog over this book for me. I did forget about Shriek and Doppelganger, and that was a pleasant surprise. I liked that those two were in there, and okay, it wasn't all Carnage. It's been a while since I've read Maximum Carnage. I have no desire to reread it, but that's beside the point. It's not terrible. I'm making it out worse than it is. I will freely admit that, just because I remember the slog I had to go through with this series. It's alright, though. I mean, I'd say if you don't have it in your collection, pick it up. It's okay. It's a good Spider-Man story. Those backup stories are a little weak, but they're not terrible either. Not great, but not terrible. I couldn't get through the Ben Riley one. Listen at me, the Uncle Ben one. But the cardiac one was kind of fun. You know, it's real simple, just straightforward. Nothing major with that, but it was pretty decent. And the Carnage story itself is pretty good. I mean, I liked it overall. So, yeah, that's going to wrap up Tales from the Longbox this time. So don't forget to like and subscribe. Tune in every Sunday at 6 for more.